Senior men over 60, 5 reasons never to have a girlfriend. If you are a man over 60, I want you to listen closely for a few minutes. Not because something is wrong with you, and not because you've failed at anything, but because at this stage of life, clarity matters more than noise. Most men your age have already lived several full lives. You've worked, you've provided, you've carried responsibility quietly for decades. You've solved problems for other people for most of your adult life. And now, whether you admit it or not, what you're really searching for is relief. Relief from pressure. Relief from expectations. Relief from emotional weight. Yet many men over 60 make a mistake they don't see coming. They believe the biggest threat is being alone. They fear quiet evenings, empty houses, or too much silence. But the truth is, the most damaging mistake at this age is often letting the wrong relationship enter your life and slowly take away the very peace you worked your entire life to earn. This isn't about bitterness, and it isn't about rejecting connection. It's about understanding how priorities change with age, and why wisdom after 60 looks very different than it did at 30. After 60, life stops being about proving anything. You don't need to impress, compete, or perform anymore. Your value is already established. What matters now is protecting your health, your time, your finances, and your emotional balance. These are no longer renewable resources. And that's where many men misunderstand romantic relationships at this stage. They assume companionship will automatically bring comfort, stability, and happiness. Sometimes it does. But very often, it brings pressure wearing the mask of affection. The first reason senior men over 60 are often better off without a girlfriend is simple, but uncomfortable to admit. Peace becomes more valuable than emotional engagement. When you're younger, emotional intensity can feel exciting. Conversations that last all night, emotional ups and downs, passionate debates, dramatic reconciliations. Younger bodies and nervous systems can tolerate that. Older ones cannot. After decades of work stress, family obligations, and responsibility, most men reach a point where calm becomes essential for survival, not just preference. Modern relationships, however, often demand constant emotional presence. Listening, reassuring, validating, explaining, resolving, adjusting. Over time, companionship quietly turns into emotional labor. You start managing moods that are not yours, fixing problems you didn't create, and adjusting your behavior to maintain emotional balance. At first, it feels like connection. The attention feels good. The conversations feel alive. But gradually, expectations grow. Silence starts to feel like a problem. Independence gets labeled as distance. The calm you worked so hard to build becomes something you're asked to explain or justify. This kind of emotional pull drains energy in ways many men don't notice at first. It shows up in disrupted sleep, irritability, tension, and fatigue. You begin to feel like your peace is conditional. And at this stage of life, peace is no longer a luxury. It's tied directly to your health. Blood pressure, heart health, immune function, mental clarity. Emotional stability affects all of it. When emotional engagement becomes obligation, the cost is paid quietly, day after day. Many senior men tolerate this longer than they should because attention feels better than silence. After years of being overlooked or feeling invisible, being wanted can feel energizing. But attention is temporary. Emotional volatility comes with a price. And peaceful silence, when chosen, is far healthier than emotional turbulence disguised as intimacy. With time, many men realize they are no longer receiving calm from the relationship. They are supplying it. And that imbalance slowly erodes well-being. The second reason is romantic relationships create financial risk without recovery time. This is rarely discussed honestly, yet it's one of the most important factors after 60. At this stage, income is often fixed. Retirement savings exist for stability, medical needs, and freedom, not experimentation. A girlfriend doesn't have to ask for money directly for financial pressure to exist. It shows up subtly. Dinners out, weekend trips, gifts, shared expenses, social expectations. Even small, regular spending adds up over time. Many men feel an unspoken obligation to provide, to maintain a certain lifestyle, to avoid appearing limited. This instinct is deeply ingrained. Providing has been part of your identity for most of your life. But after 60, every financial decision carries more weight. There's no long runway to recover from poor choices. If savings shrink, they don't easily grow back. Emergency buffers disappear quietly. And if the relationship ends, which many do, the financial impact remains long after the emotional connection is gone. Financial stress at this age doesn't just affect your bank account. It affects sleep, health, and peace of mind. Security brings freedom. Knowing you can handle medical expenses, unexpected costs, or simply live without worry creates a deep sense of calm. Romantic appearances, on the other hand, are fleeting. They don't protect you when circumstances change. Many older men realize too late that what they sacrificed financially for companionship cost them the very stability they needed most. The third reason is loss of autonomy undermines mental and physical health. This is the one many men underestimate. Before a relationship, your time is truly yours. You wake up when you want. You eat what you want. You structure your day around your body's needs, your energy levels, your interests. You enjoy silence without explanation. You follow routines that keep you grounded. These rhythms become increasingly important as the body ages. When a girlfriend enters your life, autonomy slowly erodes. Not dramatically at first, just small adjustments. Schedules shift. Routines bend. Alone time becomes something that needs discussion. Even moments of silence may be interpreted as distance. Many men accept this as the natural cost of companionship, without realizing what they are losing in the process. At this stage of life, freedom is not indulgence. It's a foundation for mental and physical stability. Older bodies rely on predictability. Consistent sleep, regular meals, quiet mornings, familiar routines. Disruptions affect the nervous system more intensely than they did years ago. What once felt flexible now feels destabilizing. Over time, the relationship that was supposed to add comfort begins to feel confining. Not because anyone intended harm, but because expectations and needs no longer align naturally. Many men struggle to articulate this discomfort. They feel guilty for wanting space. They worry that valuing autonomy makes them selfish. But the truth is, after 60, maintaining control over your time and environment supports health in very real ways. Stress reduction, emotional regulation, mental clarity. When autonomy fades, these benefits fade with it. And what replaces them is often quiet resentment, exhaustion, and a sense of being trapped in obligations you never explicitly agreed to. This erosion happens gradually, which makes it hard to recognize until the effects are already present. You start feeling restless, irritable, drained. The things that once brought peace now feel disrupted. And yet, you hesitate to speak up because you don't want conflict. So you adjust again, and again, until one day, you realize the freedom you once had is gone, replaced by routines that no longer serve your well-being. And this sets the stage for something even deeper, something many men don't anticipate until it's already affecting their sense of self and identity. That's where the next reason begins, and why understanding the nature of modern relationships becomes critical at this stage of life. As men move deeper into later life, another challenge quietly emerges, one that has less to do with personality and more to do with the world itself changing around them. This brings us to the fourth reason senior men over 60 are often better off without a girlfriend. Modern relationship dynamics clash with older men's nature. This mismatch isn't about stubbornness or resistance to change. It's about how different generations are wired emotionally and socially. Many men over 60 were shaped in a time where space was normal and silence was respected. Communication didn't mean constant access. A man could go about his day without checking in every hour and still be considered caring and committed. Emotional stability was shown through consistency, reliability, and presence when it mattered, not through constant verbal or digital affirmation. Independence was not seen as distance. It was seen as strength. Modern dating culture operates very differently. It favors continuous communication, immediate responses, emotional transparency at all times, and visible engagement. Texting throughout the day is often expected. Delays can be interpreted as disinterest. Calm is sometimes mistaken for boredom. Independence can be misread as emotional unavailability. For many older men, this environment feels unnatural and exhausting. It asks them to operate against decades of emotional conditioning that once kept them stable and grounded. Over time, this creates tension. A man may feel criticized for being emotionally distant when he is simply being himself. He may feel pressure to change habits that have supported his health and peace for years. Small adjustments accumulate. Language becomes filtered. Boundaries soften to avoid conflict. Emotional performance replaces emotional authenticity. Resentment doesn't arrive suddenly. It builds quietly, often without blame, until the relationship itself becomes associated with pressure rather than comfort. What makes this especially difficult is that emotional stability is rarely rewarded in modern dating. Calm men are often labeled boring. Men who don't chase are seen as uninterested. Those who value routine and predictability may be viewed as rigid. Faced with these perceptions, older men often feel they must choose between pretending to be someone they are not or being made to feel inadequate for being exactly who they are. Neither option leads to peace. This clash doesn't mean connection is impossible. It means the cost of maintaining a relationship within modern expectations is often higher than many men anticipate. And at this stage of life, emotional energy is precious. Spending it on constant adaptation leaves less for health, purpose, and quiet enjoyment of life. Which leads naturally to the fifth and final reason, one that sits at the core of many men's decisions after 60. Romance is often mistaken as the cure for loneliness. Loneliness is real, and it deserves honesty. But loneliness after 60 is rarely about the absence of a romantic partner. More often, it comes from a lack of structure, routine, purpose, or meaningful engagement with life. Many men assume that having a girlfriend will fill an emotional gap. They imagine companionship will bring motivation, direction, and fulfillment. Sometimes it does temporarily. But when a relationship becomes the primary source of emotional connection, it also becomes fragile. When expectations aren't met, disappointment replaces comfort. When conflict arises, loneliness returns stronger than before. Emotional dependence amplifies vulnerability rather than reducing it. True fulfillment at this stage of life comes from something deeper and more stable. It comes from self-respect, autonomy, health, and meaningful daily structure. Purpose-driven routines. Activities that engage the mind and body. Friendships rooted in mutual respect rather than obligation. Quiet mornings. Predictable days. These things nourish well-being in ways romance often cannot. Many men discover that when they stop seeking validation, attention loses its power. When they become content alone, emotional manipulation has no grip. When happiness no longer depends on another person's mood, they feel grounded and unshakable. This isn't isolation. It's emotional independence. And emotional independence is one of the most valuable forms of freedom after 60. There's also a misunderstanding that avoiding romantic entanglement means missing out on love. But love later in life doesn't need labels, constant presence, or emotional negotiation. A genuine connection can exist without entanglement. Companionship can exist without sacrifice. Respect can exist without dependency. Some of the most fulfilled senior men maintain warm connections, friendships, and occasional companionship while protecting their autonomy and peace. As life moves into its later chapters, priorities naturally shift. The need to prove, impress, or perform fades. What remains is the desire to enjoy what's left with dignity and calm. Many older men stay in relationships not because they are happy, but because they fear being alone. But solitude, when chosen, is not loneliness. It's control over your environment. It's freedom over your time. It's the ability to live according to your own rhythm. The most peaceful men after 60 are rarely the ones chasing romance. They are the ones protecting their energy. They choose quality over intensity, calm over chaos, peace over performance. They understand that the value of a relationship is not measured by how much attention it brings, but by how little peace it costs. This doesn't mean rejecting all connection. It means becoming extremely selective. Time is limited. Health is fragile. Emotional energy is finite. Anyone allowed into your life should add to it, not consume it. At this stage, the most important question is simple and honest. Does this bring peace, or does it bring pressure? When the answer is pressure, walking away isn't failure. It's wisdom. Not with anger. Not with bitterness. With clarity. Because the greatest relationship you will ever have after 60 is the one you build with your own peace. When that relationship is strong, everything else becomes optional. Thank you for spending your time to listen. Wish you the best on your journey.